What's going on at Harbor Freight? Why are so many customers speaking out on Reddit? Harbor Freight is becoming an expensive brand. Harbor Freight Tools has become delusional. For many years, Harbor Freight has been seen as a symbol of a simple promise: affordable tools for American workers. You don't need to be a professional craftsman. You don't need a large budget. You can buy what you need just by walking into a store with the feeling that you're paying a fair price. But in recent years, more and more customers have started asking the same question. Why is the bill higher than expected this time? No sudden price increase was announced. There were no press releases that caught attention. However, discontent is spreading silently. It seems the problem isn't just about the price. The problem lies in the feeling you no longer have control over the game. In this video, we'll go through each layer of the new rules to understand why a brand known for being cheap is angering its loyal customers and causing them to gradually leave. For a long time, Harbor Freight operated under a rule that most customers understood immediately after their first visit. The listed price was just a surface, while the real price lay beneath the surface, in coupons. You look up at the shelf and see the price, which is a bit dazzling, like a price board. At an airport, it looks expensive, but no one buys at that price. Because at Harbor Freight, regular customers walk into the store with a very American belief: if you know how to play the game, you won't have to pay full price. Back then, coupons existed as paper slips, emails, and text messages. According to a former employee in the video, about 60% of the items in the store always had coupons, meaning that for every 10 items, you saw 6 of them already had built-in shortcuts to make them cheaper. That's when the shopping experience feels like a treasure hunt. You're not just buying pliers or a drill, you're hunting for a barcode, and once you scan it, the price drops like pulling a lever. And to speed things up, many people even take screenshots of coupons on their phones, so when they get to the counter, they just need to show the image for the employee to scan. The addictive part is the moment you scan the coupon and see the total drop, the feeling of outsmarting the system, leaving the store with the mindset of getting a good deal, not just saving a few dollars, but saving your self-esteem. And then the important question arises: if Harbor Freight annoys customers today, is it because they've raised prices or because they've quietly changed the rules, taking away that very sense of victory? Have you ever stood at the Harbor Freight counter and found the price wasn't what you expected, encountered a coupon that wouldn't apply, or been told it was only for members? Tell me about your experience in the comments section. In the next section, we will open the first new law clause, the green card price ITC, and why it causes confusion right from the shelf. If you want to know why customers are frustrated, start with the smallest but most impactful signal: the blue price tags. Harbor Freight calls these ITC member prices a pricing system exclusive to Inside Track Club members, and they also clearly state, look for the blue tags. No coupons required. On the shelf, the green tag appears as an invitation. Lower price looks very saleable, very eye-catching. The problem is it's displayed publicly as if anyone can buy it, when in reality it only applies if you have active ITC. This is the ironic moment that happens at the counter. You bring up the item, wait for the familiar number to drop, and then the employee says something that drops the room's temperature by a few degrees. This price is for members. It's not about a few dollars. It's about the feeling of having just walked through a door that seemed open but turned out to be locked. Why does Harbor Freight like blue tag? Because it turns discounts into subscriptions. Harbor Freight sells ITC as a shopping booster, exclusive monthly pricing applicable online and in a store while you are a member. The annual membership fee is currently being advertised at $29. Minds. In many closed-door interviews, internal staff even stated directly, often if you buy a large item, the discount is strong enough to be considered a free membership. It sounds like a perk, but it's also a way to turn walk-in customers into long-term subscribers. The reality is that blue tag isn't necessarily bad, but it creates a dangerous gap between expectations and reality. On the shelf, customers see and think to themselves, "This price seems right for me." However, at the counter, the staff said the opposite. "This price is not for you unless you pay an additional joining fee." This is like seeing a menu that says special 19.99, but when you order, you find out that price is only for members. Have you ever encountered a situation where the price on the shelf was one thing, but at the counter, it was something else at Harbor Freight? Do you think it's reasonable because the law is clear or intentionally misleading? And this is just the first layer. In the next part, we'll open a second class that's even more virtual instant savings, a type of automatic discount that eliminates the need for coupons, but also makes it harder for you to know if you're really getting a discount or just being led on. If blue tag is a visible VIP door, then instant savings is an invisible mechanism, and it's that very invisibility that confuses customers. On paper, instant savings sounds friendly: automatic discounts at the counter, no coupons needed, no extra steps required. But in the reality of shopping, it creates a very different feeling, as if someone has removed the instruction manual right before the game begins. Instant savings is implemented by Harbor Freight in short-term batches. You don't need to bring the coupon, you don't need to scan the app. The price will automatically be reduced at checkout. It sounds convenient, like an airport escalator. You just stand still, and the system takes care of the rest. But the problem is you don't see that movement. On the shelf, the price is still the old price. At the counter, the total amount decreased, but it's unclear why. And when people don't see the cause, they begin to doubt the results. In the old model, a coupon was a tangible object. You could hold it in your hand, take a picture of it with your phone, or scan it in front of you. But instant savings doesn't. It's like money being transferred instead of cash, logical, fast, but lacking emotion. For many middle-aged customers, the issue isn't about technology. They use cards, scanners, and email every day. What they don't like is losing control, not knowing if there will be a discount today, how much it will be, and why it's being offered. When instant savings exists alongside blue tag and coupons, the shopping experience begins to resemble a multivariable equation. Shelf price may not be the final price. Price at the counter decreased, but it's unclear why. Coupon in hand might be useless. It's no different from calling a taxi without seeing the meter, only finding out the price when you arrive and having to trust that the system calculated it correctly. Have you ever stood at the Harbor Freight counter and wondered, how much am I actually saving? Or even if I'm not careful, will I miss out on a better price? And when these layers of value are stacked without being accumulative, the story will enter its most tense phase. In the next part, we'll touch on the most frustrating rule: no stacking discounts, where every advantage you think you have suddenly becomes worthless. If I had to choose a single rule that makes customers the angriest, it wouldn't be ITC, and it wouldn't necessarily be instant savings, but rather the rule that discounts cannot be stacked. This is where all the advantages the buyer thinks they have suddenly become useless. Imagine this: you walk into Harbor Freight fully equipped. You are an ITC member, you have a coupon on your phone, and the item you chose is part of the instant savings program. In terms of common logic, this should be a winning combination. But at the counter, the system only allows for a single discount, usually the highest one. Your coupon is not valid. Membership benefits are not cumulative. Instant savings has taken its place. That moment was like bringing 3 keys to a door, but the lock only allowed you to choose one. The other 2 suddenly became meaningless. Why does this rule make customers angrier than the price? What makes customers angry isn't the smaller amount of savings. It lies in the breakdown of expectations. The buyer put in the effort to prepare registering for membership, hunting for coupons, and waiting for the right sale time, and then all those efforts couldn't add up. In modern MBA logic, no stacking is how retailers block the phenomenon of cascading discounts, which can erode profits very quickly. Each offer is designed to work independently, not to stack like dominoes. The problem is that Harbor Freight doesn't clearly communicate that at the most crucial point, right when the customer is standing in front of the shelves and checkout counters. When the rules of the game are only revealed at the last minute, the feeling of being set up is hard to avoid. Customers aren't upset about losing a few extra dollars. They're angry because they feel the rules of the game changed midway and they were the last to know. What do you think about this rule? Is this a reasonable but misunderstood business practice or a frustrating way to design an experience? Have you ever been in a situation where you had all sorts of offers but couldn't use any of them? And when this non-stacking rule is combined with the gradual disappearance of the familiar 20% coupon, the picture becomes clearer. In the next part, we'll talk about the quiet departure of the 20% coupon and why it left such a significant psychological void. Among all the pricing changes at Harbor Freight, nothing left a bigger emotional void than the disappearance of the 20% off coupon. This wasn't a loud shock. There was no official announcement, no clear date of death. It just gradually stopped appearing. And it was that very silence that made many customers feel abandoned. In terms of numbers, 20% is rarely a significant amount of savings. With a $100 item, you save $20, the equivalent of a quick lunch. But the real value of this coupon lies elsewhere. Everyone understands it in a second. No membership required, no app needed, no need to read the lengthy terms and conditions. In the old model, customers entered Harbor Freight with a clear advantage. I have a coupon. I know how much I'm going to pay. As the 20% coupon gradually disappears, that advantage is no longer there. Instead, there are new mechanisms, ITC instant savings and exclusion clauses, that make buyers unsure whether they are winning or losing. This is when the discomfort sets in. It's not because the price is immediately higher, but because the rules of the game are no longer in the buyer's hands. From an MBA perspective, a 20% coupon is an expensive tool. It applies to almost everyone, every order, and it's very difficult to control profit margins. Harbor Freight's gradual withdrawal from this type of coupon indicates a shift from discounts for everyone to rewards for those within the system. Business-minded, but emotionally cold. Retail customers used to feel smart, proactive, and on par with the system. When the 20% coupon disappeared, they were no longer participants in the game. They became outsiders watching the rules being rewritten. Do you remember the last time you used a 20% off coupon at Harbor Freight? Have you found yourself less interested in shopping since it's no longer a frequent occurrence? And as this sense of disappointment resonates with the new membership rules and the elimination of stacking discounts, a big question begins to form. Is Harbor Freight changing to adapt, or is it losing the very customer base that made its name? In the next part, we will put these pieces together to see the big picture. As frustration spreads, the biggest question that arises is not, can I save money, but is Harbor Freight getting more expensive? The answer, if viewed through the lens of investigation, is not at all simple. There are two parallel pulling forces acting simultaneously, one coming from buyer psychology and one from business reality. When mass coupons disappeared and blue tag and instant savings appeared, in waves, shoppers could no longer see the real price right from the shelf. The shopping experience right now is like walking through fog. You're still moving, but you're not sure if you're going fast or slow. That feeling of a lack of control automatically leads the brain to conclude it must be more expensive. Behind the checkout counter are cold numbers, higher import costs, more expensive logistics, and tariff risks that squeeze profit margins. In that context, mass discount models become dangerous. Businesses are forced to switch to membership pricing, not to sell at a higher price, but to maintain stability. Harbor Freight doesn't blindly raise prices. They are shifting costs to fees for not understanding the law. Anyone who doesn't know the rules will find themselves paying more. In your opinion, is this a necessary adaptation for a large retailer or a turning point that will alienate the customer base that made them successful? And now it's time for us to put all the pieces together and see where is this change taking Harbor Freight and who is really benefiting. After peeling back each layer of price, each new rule, one thing became quite clear. Harbor Freight wasn't just changing prices, they were changing how you felt about prices. For some, it's the necessary adaptation of a large business in the face of rising costs. For others, it's the feeling of being left behind in a game where the rules are rewritten too quietly. So the final question is, for you, do you think Harbor Freight is doing the right things to survive? Or are they losing the very customer base that helped them grow? Have you ever been in a situation where you saw one price but were charged another? Please share your experiences and perspectives in the comments section. If you find this type of investigative economic consumer analysis helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos where we continue to decode what's happening behind familiar brands. The content in the video is analytical, synthesizing public information and consumer experiences, and does not represent any official statements from Harbor Freight. It is not intended to encourage or discourage purchasing behavior. The rules can continue to change. The question is, the next time you walk into a store, will you be passive? Or will you be someone who understands what game they're playing? Thank you for staying with me until the end. See you in the next videos.